Well, good morning. Welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and we've already started with so many comments, and I appreciate it. Let's read from the viewer, and I would suggest I made sure it actually worked out really well. I wasn't sure if the verdict would come in yesterday, but we do not have a guest for the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of the program. We have all this time to spend together. I know everybody's sending virtual waves with sad faces too. I appreciate it, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts on the verdict. All 34 counts guilty, as you are well aware by now. It is shocking. We're going to go through what many people had to say about it, including your comments, of course. Let's start with the comments. I keep pushing it off. Look at this stack of paper. We got a lot to talk about, and it's, 99.9% yesterday's verdict. We've got to say, though, before I keep saying that I'm going to go to the viewers' comments, this was pretty much predicted by all of us yesterday. There's no surprise. I know many of us saying, well, maybe there'll be that one brave New Yorker. That brave New Yorker did not show up to the trial. But first of all, verdict or comments from viewers. Verdict's going to be a flub that I make throughout the morning. That's the only thing on our mind. Here we go. From you, the viewer. I hope you can share your thoughts in the morning. This old gal needs a crumb of solace. Well, thank you. I don't know if I'm offering solace this morning. I don't know if any of us are. Next comment. Sad day in America when the real criminals falsely convict the best dang president we've ever had. Next comment. Can't wait to hear your reaction to the verdict. I think I'm not going to even say I was stunned or shocked. It was. I think many of us knew this was coming. And I don't say that in a happy way, of course. It was disappointing. It was kind of a stunning. I mean, you're talking 2 days guilty on all 34 counts. It's as if they phoned this in and it was the jury knew what they were going to select before the case even began. I do think, to this viewer's point, the real criminals, I find it very, very interesting that the people that constantly comment that justice has been served or our rules of law work, these type of things, and no one is above the law. That's the term I'm looking for. No one is above the law. And you see some of the people saying that and you go, really? Then maybe we should have some questions for you. No one is above the law. I do want to say, and I'm going to probably highlight this throughout the morning, you may want to set your alarm. Former President Trump is going to hold a press conference today at 11 a.m. I know last night he was at a fundraiser. I don't know how many fundraisers you've been to in your life. They're not bad. They're just, kind of what you predict. That would have been a fundraiser to attend. Imagine weeks, maybe even months ago, sending in your check, getting ready to attend the fundraiser, and then the verdict comes down. One of two things going through your head. They'll probably cancel it, or this is going to be a party. And I'm sure it was. Now, did you watch any of Bragg's bragging, any of his press conference, saying, I did my job. Our job is to follow the facts and the law without fear or favor. And that's exactly what we did here. There are many voices out there. The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken. Do you, and let me say, I'm sure there's people watching this right now kind of in a gloating mood, and that's fine. I would love to hear your comments as well. Do you agree with Bragg's statement that they followed the facts and law without fear or favor? Now, obviously no favors to Trump, but favors to perhaps the Biden campaign. Is it, another question I'll pose to you, is it a favor to the Biden campaign? Many experts, many people, even on the left, saying this could have been it for the Biden campaign. This could be the thing that puts Donald Trump back into the White House. Also, another question, I know we asked this yesterday. What do you think the judge will Do you think it'll be house arrest? Do you think he'll be behind bars? Do you think, what would your prediction be? I've always said on this program, I believe it'll be a scenario where it's probably a house arrest, so that therefore they don't have the optics of him being behind bars with Secret Service there, but also keep him from the campaign trail. Did you also realize the math on this? Because I said, why July 11th? Why will he be sentenced that far from now? And I'm no legal expert, so I didn't know if that was typical or not. All I know is that is 4 days before the GOP convention. So will the former president be giving his nominating speech over Zoom if he's under house arrest? The sentence hearing will be July 11th, just before the Republican National Committee's convention is slated to start on July 15th in Milwaukee. I am really curious about the sentencing, how this is going to be handled, how the judge... The funny thing is, I know that no one is above the law, and the system worked. The system worked. I think most, not even experts, I think most people agree this, under appeal, will be thrown out. So can we confidently say the justice system worked? Our system worked. So what happens now? Trump will be sentenced at 10 a.m. on July 11th. Judge Mercan could sentence Trump to probation or up to 4 years on each count in state prison with a maximum of 20 years. For now, the former president will remain out of prison as he awaits his sentencing. Man, I hope he does a lot of rallies from here until July 11th. Now, obviously, he can appeal his conviction. The problem is the timeline on that. That's not, unless something really out of what I would think the realm of possibility happens, I don't see how it could ever be before the election. Shortly after Trump was convicted, his attorney, Todd Blanche, asked Judge Mercan for an acquittal of the charges notwithstanding the guilty verdict. The judge rejected the pro forma request. During the course of the trial, Trump's legal team took other steps to preserve its right to appeal a potential guilty verdict. Looking at rulings from the judge on testimony and evidence, they're all but certain to mount such an appeal in the coming weeks. And we'll tell you exactly what Todd Blanche had to say over that. Thank you for all these waves coming in. Couple laughy faces. I don't know what that's laughing over. Maybe you're happy about the verdict. That's fine. Let me know. Comment from a viewer. They crashed the Trump website with donations. I think I heard that a person that normally sends money to Democrats sent Trump a huge check. I don't know if it was someone that normally sends to Democrats, but I know Lee Zeldin secured, what was it, an $800,000 donation? Was that the right number? Couldn't have been just, I don't know. It was a lot of money. We'll get to that because it's in my stack. Sorry, it became overwhelming this morning and last night preparing for the show, and some of the numbers start to blend together. So can Trump still be elected president? Yes, of course he can. And that's what many are saying, that the real decision in this trial is on Election Day, on November 5th. The president himself, the former president himself, saying that. It is a weird, strange time in American history. And I shouldn't laugh, because not only is it a weird, strange time, it is devastating to the rule of law. It is a scenario where we can, and I can't remember who said it, where we can't come back from this. The precedent has been set. You know, people have thrown around terms like banana republic, kangaroo courts, sham trials. But what this holds for the future. Now, this is one thing that I would highlight, and you hope it doesn't come to this. But when the precedent like this is set, what's next? Right now, Democrats are in charge in this scenario. New York City, the judge, we know his background, the jury being a New York City jury. So right now the Democrats are in charge. What happens when it's the Republicans in charge? What happens when it's, I don't know, some future Democrat president? This is the precedent that they set, and they're fine with it because the man who had to bear this, his name is Donald Trump. And nothing's off limits when it comes to taking him off the ballot. It started as simple as them trying to keep him off the ballot. off the primary ballot. But now it has led to this lawfare. Now, we have a lot of comments coming in, and I'm not going to be able to read them all in real time, but we'll get to them on our break because I know we're going to be running late this morning. When we come back, we'll tell you about what the Trump attorney, Todd Blanche, had to say about the appeal argument, what he's going to lay out. We're going to talk, I know the one viewer commenting on the donation page crashing, they had tweeted out, or X'd out, or whatever, last night, the American people see through crooked Joe Biden's rigged show trial. So many Americans were moved to donate to President Trump's campaign that the pages went down. We are working on getting the website back online as quickly as possible. So stay with us. We're obviously just getting warmed up, getting our thoughts all together. What was your initial reaction? Surprised, shocked? Like I said, it was kind of a stunned, but also anticipated reaction. Not surprised. I think the common theme that we heard yesterday from you was that it's New York City. It's a New York City jury. It's a New York City judge. So the best we could have hoped for was a hung jury. And instead, we wake up this morning with 34 counts. All 34 counts guilty. No sense even waiting till Friday. Who was it? Ty Cobb, who said, we'll probably get a decision on Friday because no one, as a rule, jurors don't want to spend the whole weekend and then have to come back Monday, which sounds wrong to me, but okay. So they didn't even bother waiting until Friday. Might as well have a long weekend. So let's take our first break. Stay with us. We'll be reading your comments throughout the morning, so please see that number on the bottom of the screen. Feel free to weigh in at any time. We're just getting started on this Friday morning guilty edition of Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tub experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less.
With no cuts or nicks. It's 100% waterproof.
It even works in the shower.
Introducing Remington's Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results.
No nicks, no scrapes. Fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
Shave in the shower or with any foam or gel with Japanese-grade steel blades plow through the thickest of hair. Anytime, anywhere. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groove. Now, you can try the Remington Balder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Complete with a 5-year limited warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer free. Just pay separate processing and handling.
Give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
Order your Balder Boss now.
Every day, your game is on Fox.
I mean, just feast your eyes on this. Because if baseball is as American as apple pie, then Fox Saturday Baseball was one heck of a slice. And with these guys on the menu, all you gotta do is sit back, relax, and make some room for a big old helping. With a cherry on top. Come on.
Yes, if there is one silver lining today, as you wake up here at 6:14, is that the roof cam is back. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. What do you guys want to talk about after this? No, I'm just kidding. Comments from viewers. It wouldn't surprise me if Trump will be accepting the nomination via phone from prison. Yeah. You know, I don't. Well, there's a couple questions here. I don't think, though, anything's possible at this point because of how corrupt this system is and the judge. I don't think they'll do prison time only because that continues with the optics of how this is one political party using lawfare to bring down the candidate for president. So I don't know if they want the optics of the Secret Service and him behind bars. That's why I've predicted the house arrest, so then he can't campaign. But also, what does this do for the debate? You know, I've been saying for a long time I don't think there will be a debate. But if, let's say, he is under house arrest, will that be a Zoom scenario, or will it be canceled altogether, giving Biden that out to not have to debate? There is another comment. Those that are happy about the verdict would be the first ones to be succumbed to a foreign government takeover, thinking that they would be able to live their lives as always. Ignorance is bliss. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are gloating this morning or that are happy about this that really do not understand the implications. Because when something like this works, and in their mind it worked, don't think for a moment this is not going to be par for the course, that this will be a tool in their bag of tricks. Continuing with comments. The judge should be disbarred for the way he made it impossible for the jurors to vote any other way. Essentially, that's correct. The way it was set up, we talked about it yesterday, and I'm no lawyer, so I don't want to get into the wonkiness of it all. But it was basically a choose-your-own adventure to get to the guilty page, if you remember those books, the Choose Your Own Adventure, to make sure that it got to guilty. Next up, the Democrats are digging their own grave. There's no spinning this with Biden coming out on top. That's why he didn't comment after the verdict. They originally said, I know he released a statement, Biden did. Originally they said he was going to go live with a press conference. I was out, and so I missed it. If he did anybody see that? I haven't seen any videos of it, so my assumption is that he did not. It was just the statement that he released. Next comment. Partisan politics at its worst. Do you think the outcome would have been different if they could have found an independent judge and an independent prosecutor and 12 independent jurors of his peers? And I'm not a registered Republican or Democrat, and that is for a very good reason. Yes, I'm sure there's many, many reasons on both sides. I think, first of all, this trial shouldn't have happened in the first place. I mean, we all have been through this. We've talked about the way that Bragg had to twist this into a pretzel to even make a case out of it, and that's why so many people, even on the Democrat side, are saying that this is, when the appeals process is through, this is going to be overturned. So I do think if it was an independent judge, independent prosecutor, if this was done fairly for 12 independent jurors, no, there'd be no guilty charges. I think he would have been acquitted because they would have, a fair judge, an independent judge, wouldn't have allowed this to even get to the jury stage. Continuing with what I keep promising, and I'm going to keep reading your text, and your waves are coming in. I got a feeling we're going to have a record-breaking day on waves. Donald Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, was on CNN, and they talked about the appeals process. He said every single person on the jury knew Donald Trump as a president, as a candidate from The Apprentice. So I don't accept that this was a fair place to try President Trump. There was so much publicity around the witnesses and around leading up to the trial that our system of justice isn't supposed to be a system where every person who walks in the courtroom knows about this case. The law says a person is entitled to a fair trial in front of a jury of their peers, and we just think that because of everything around the lead up to this trial, it made it very difficult for the jury to evaluate the evidence kind of independently of what they knew coming in. He said that Trump's legal team will now vigorously fight with motions due in a few weeks, and if that is not successful, the attorney said they will appeal following the sentencing in July. So there's still some more mechanisms in there before July, but I think we all assume it will get to the sentencing phase. As has been mentioned a few times on the program, that the GOP's online donation platform was so overwhelmed that it shut down at one point. Marco Rubio tweeted out, "The bad news is today the Biden leftists in New York made a mockery of our criminal justice system. The good news is Americans have sent Trump over $50 million since this travesty, and his deranged enemies just elected Trump for president again." Many people sharing that sentiment, that this is only going to boost the former president in the campaign. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the numbers. I know it's really early to get accurate numbers, but there's some interesting information coming out in that direction. Lee Zeldin, here it is. Yes, I was right. Lee Zeldin, the former congressman and Trump ally, tweeted after the verdict that he just secured a $800,000 donation. See, I was right. I was hoping it wasn't $80,000, but it was $800,000 donation for someone for President Trump's joint fundraising committee. Never experienced a massive ask that easy. So basically, hey, can you donate? Yeah, here's $800,000 donation. And I'm sure many of you sent in a little bit of money as well. Now, we are going, and this is I think the unique aspect of this show, we are going to show you both sides. There's comments from Republicans, there's comments from Democrats, the media, how the media is handling. Boy, do they love putting convicted felon, former President Trump. Governor Hochul weighed in on this, and then I'm going to take a break, and we're going to hear a statement from our Congressman, Nick Langworthy, and then get into some other statements from Republicans, then go to Democrats. But first of all, the headline for this piece from The Gothamist, 12 everyday New Yorkers convicted Donald Trump. Now there are concerns for their safety. So Governor Hochul said in a statement that her administration, in coordination with NYPD and federal law enforcement, they're to monitor the situation following the bombshell verdict. We are committed to protecting the safety of all New Yorkers and the integrity of our judicial system. Well, the integrity of the judicial system, you probably should have stepped in a little bit earlier. So when we come back, Congressman Nick Langworthy's statement, we have so many statements that we want to read, but most important statement is yours. I think I do err on the side, not err on the side. I am with those who are saying that this, in the long run, benefits Trump. It may not seem it when the guilty verdict comes in, but I think this is the kind of thing he has been talking about since he went down the escalator to announce back in 2016, essentially, about the deep state, the swamp. And I think most people, and I don't like to do the anecdotal, I've talked to Democrats, because I think sometimes people in the media misuse that when they probably didn't. But I will be honest with you, I have talked to numerous Democrats, so I'm going to break my own rule here, but I have, who may actually like the verdict, I don't know, but at the end of the day don't feel that this trial was fair, and they don't use the term witch hunt, but that, of course, is what the former president calls it. So anyway, we are just getting started, and we're already running late, and I can't believe how many comments and likes or waves, that we're getting. Thank you so much. This is what this show's all about, and I want to hear from you on any side of this. I don't mind if you are happy this morning. I want to hear your comments as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, if you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Back in 1916, Wegmans started as a produce company. That's why we only partner with farmers who share our commitment to high standards. We've always believed that freshness is the key to the perfect fruit. And together, we ensure that every bite is at the peak of perfection. This is our passion, to bring you and your family exceptional flavor every day.
The world's best pizza has been baked in ovens made of stone. But you can't put one of those on the countertop in your home. Introducing Paisano, the authentic pizza oven by Granite Stone. Now make the world's most delicious pizza with real stone right in your own home. You simply set it and let it make golden, crispy, extra cheesy stone-baked pies in under 6 minutes. The secret is the dual-controlled heat zones that quickly heat the real ceramic stone up to 800 degrees so you can stone bake just like the pros. Plus, there's no gas, wood, or charcoal needed. Paisano is electric, plug-in, and portable. You can get your Paisano pizza oven for just 4 easy payments of $39.99. And we're going to drop one payment. You get it all for just 3 easy payments of $39.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free.
Call 1-800-597-7208 or order online at buypaisano.com. Call now.
Getting aerial video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on this infamous historic day. I don't know what the term would be. We have so many comments, and I cannot thank you enough. I knew it was going to be that kind of show, and I really appreciate it. If he's on house arrest, he could campaign from Zoom on big screen TVs at rallies. Then he could do simultaneous rallies all over the United States. That's how Trump can spin this. Yeah. Absolutely, almost like the old closed circuits. You could go to the theater and watch the rallies. That could be the case. I mean, obviously something will have to be done. I don't know how it works. So if he is in prison, that's a question I don't have the answer to. Here's another comment from a different viewer. Because of the media's hate for Trump, they have made him possibly the most famous person in history. Even if he is behind bars, they will give us every detail. We'll hear if he puts ketchup on his applesauce and that he sleeps with one eye open. But in the end, I'm hopeful that he can prove that a convicted felon can be elected president. Thank you very much. Another comment from Ken and Horseheads. They still haven't beaten President Trump, and they know that. Step 1 was they needed one of the lawsuits to convict him of a felony. Step 2, Biden won't minimize the honor and integrity of the office of the presidency by debating a felon. And that's a good point. Let me continue. I want to go back to that point. Step 3 will be Congress needs to work fast to make it illegal for a felon to run for the highest office in the country. I'm not sure how that works, because wouldn't that have to be a constitutional amendment? I'm not sure how that works. But having said that, I do think that's already in the works to cancel the debates. That's just a side note. I do think that gives them another out. Congressman Nick Langworthy. I've got 2 updates on him. One on a happier note. This is his statement on the verdict in the Trump trial. Today marks an unprecedented corruption of our justice system and a very dark day for America. We have witnessed a blatant action to imprison a presidential nominee and steal the election out of the hands of the voters. A corrupt prosecutor, a corrupt judge, and a corrupt jury conspired to undermine our democracy in a manner more fitting of a banana republic than the United States of America. He continues. George Soros bankrolled Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, acting as a useful idiot for Biden, has manipulated the legal system to serve the interests of the radical left. In his erroneous abuse of power aimed solely at keeping President Trump out of the White House. Every American should be deeply concerned and have serious doubts about the integrity of our judicial system after what we have seen today. This miscarriage of justice is not just an attack on President Trump, but also on our democracy and every principle that our nation was founded upon. I stand fully behind President Trump and reject this sham trial just like the appellate division will. The real verdict will come on November 5th when the people vote to send Trump back to the White House. That's our Congressman Nick Langworthy. And since I mentioned Congressman Langworthy earlier in the day, this was an exciting bit of news. I received a press release from the congressman, and this must have been when they were waiting for the verdict, from the jury. But if you look And do I have the sheet? I don't have the sheet, so I'm going to have to try. Sometimes as you are well aware, the font is a little small when I'm looking at it here. But this was, oh no, not small this time. This was tweeted out by the former president. Nick Langworthy is an outstanding representative for New York's 23rd Congressional District. An American First patriot, Nick has been with us from the very beginning. Nick is tough on crime, supports our great military and police, fights for our incredible farmers, and is working to secure our under siege southern border. Nick Langworthy has my complete and total endorsement. So that happened earlier in the day, and I thought just changing the topic really quick and going right back to it. But this is what the congressman had to say. Congressman Langworthy added, I am honored to count President Trump as a longtime friend, and I can't wait to work with him to implement his strong pro-America agenda when the people send him back to the White House. Together, we will get America back on the right track. So there, a couple updates from Congressman Langworthy. Thank you. So back to what some of the people had to say about this. I know it is fascinating when we talk about media coverage, and I know we talk about a lot on this program. But depending on what outlet you go to and just who they interview and what videos they show and what they say about it, what their headlines are, you can feel in many outlets, especially the legacy media, the giddiness over this day. The celebratory nature of watching the justice system and confidence in the justice system being completely eroded. Because at the end of the day, that does not matter. Our norms and our institutions, the same norms and institutions that they always claim that Trump wants to destroy, the norms and institutions being eroded and being destroyed doesn't bother them as long as it works in their favor. And we have some celebrities and some Democrats celebrating this. But before that, we're going to kind of start with Republicans, ease into the Democrats, then give you some talking head comments as well. But most importantly, as always, your comments are what matter. House Speaker Mike Johnson said today is a shameful day in American history. Democrats cheered as they convicted the leader of the opposing party on ridiculous charges, predicated on the testimony of a disbarred convicted felon. This was a purely political exercise, not a legal one. The weaponization of our justice system has been a hallmark of the Biden administration, and the decision today is further evidence that Democrats will stop at nothing to silence dissent and crush their political opponents. Boy, that's a powerful statement. Further evidence that Democrats will stop at nothing to silence dissent and crush their political opponents. But he continues, the American people see this as lawfare, and they know it is wrong and dangerous. President Trump will rightfully appeal the absurd verdict, and he will win. That's, I thought, a great message from House Speaker Mike Johnson. Very forceful, very blunt, but spot on. Steve Scalise said extremist Democrats have undermined democracy by weaponizing the courts to operate like a banana republic that targets their political opponents. Today's verdict is a defeat for Americans who believe in the critical legal tenet that justice is blind. It was clear from the start that Biden teamed up with the heavily biased DA, Alvin Bragg, to go after his political opponent regardless of wrongdoing. While hardened criminals are set free in New York to commit more violent crimes against innocent citizens. And think of that. I know Bragg during his press conference kept saying, this is what we do day in and day out. Weren't you thinking, I don't know if you watched that press conference, it kind of gets your blood boiling, but I watched some of it. And it was kind of funny because they cut to it. I don't remember what outlet I was watching. And it was so kind of boring that they cut away from it very quickly. So I had to search for it somewhere else. But I think it's interesting when you watch Bragg that he obviously has delusions of grandeur. He wants to go on to something else, wants to be something bigger. It's not there yet, though. That speech was lackluster, somewhat choppy, or just not. It just seemed like someone that had a well-rehearsed speech that maybe wasn't ready for the cameras on him, and the well-rehearsed speech went a little bit out the window. Repeating himself. And anyway, I don't want to go on to that, but think of him going up there and saying, we do this day in and day out, and using those type of statements. And you think about the public safety in New York City specifically. You think about the criminals roaming the street, the violence that you read about every single day, the destruction. And he's there looking like, he just got married. He's so happy. It was very telling. if you ask me. Governor DeSantis weighing in. Today's verdict represents the culmination of a legal process that's been bent to the political will of the actors involved. A leftist prosecutor, a partisan judge, and a jury, reflective of one of the most liberal enclaves in America, all in the effort to, quote, get Donald Trump. That this case involving alleged misdemeanor business records, violations from nearly a decade ago, was even brought is a testimony to the political debasement of the justice system in places like New York City. This is especially true considering the same district attorney routinely excuses criminal conduct in a way that has endangered law-abiding citizens in his jurisdiction. It is often said no one is above the law, and that's everybody's on the Democrat side. That's their favorite quote. No one is above the law. And of course, it's ironic to people normally saying it because it seems like they're above the law. It's also, I'm sure we could point to some people on their side that also happen to be above the law. But it's often said that no one is above the law, but it's also true that no one is below the law. If the defendant were not Donald Trump, this case would never have been brought. The judge would have never issued similar rulings, and the jury would have never returned a guilty verdict. In America, the rule of law should be applied in a dispassionate, even-handed manner, not become captive to political agenda of some kangaroo court. And I think that is a very good point by Governor DeSantis. We know, and again, even if you're giddy about this morning, you know that Alvin Bragg would not have brought these charges against anybody else but Donald J. Trump. So right there shows you the weaponization of the judicial system. I don't want to go through everybody. This is actually 18 pages that I put together of various comments. I don't want to just read those. I want to hear your comments. But there are a few noteworthy ones because we're talking about the VP race. Tim Scott said, absolute injustice. This erodes our justice system. Hear me clearly. You cannot silence the American people. You cannot stop us from voting for change. Joe Biden, you're fired. We the people stand with Donald J. Trump. Governor Doug Burgum said this verdict is a travesty of justice. The judge was a Biden donor. The prosecutors were Biden supporters. The lawfare should scare every American. The American people have their say in November. And that's I think the worst part about those gloating this morning. It's not about them thinking they scored a political victory. It's frustrating because they don't realize what they have done to this country. They don't realize that it should scare, to Governor Burgum's point, should scare every American because they have made this precedent now. And that is, in many ways, and I'll have to get to it here because I keep talking about it, in many ways that is something we can never come back from, what happened yesterday as a country. And I'm going to take a break because I realized that we are running late again, and I will maybe jump ahead to that piece because I want you to hear that. I think it was Greg Jarrett, but we'll take this break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
Bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie-cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need. It's never been easier or more affordable than right now to get the bathroom of your dreams. We have the best monthly programs in the industry with payments as low as $99 per month or no payments, no interest for 18 months with approved credit. The hardest part of your new bathroom is gutting and building the tub and shower. If your bathing area is old, there could be damage behind the walls and possible mold and mildew, which can be a serious safety issue. At BCI, we don't cover a problem, we fix it. Call now to get a never clean glass treated door with the no-track system at half off for the first 50 callers. Factory trained, certified installers made in the USA and discounts for seniors and military. Call 800-704-1798. That's 800-704-1798.
It's a new season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my number one goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking. We are moving quickly this morning. I realized that I may have prepared a little bit too much. We've got to get through some things quickly. Norman Eisen from CNN said Trump verdict keeps this bedrock American ideal alive. So I know many of us look at this as a travesty, a black eye for the justice system, if not a lot worse than that. But according to Norman Eisen, and this is a line you're going to hear a lot, we've never had a trial of a president before, and yet the trial was about one of the oldest American ideals, that no one is above the law. Now, how many people could we mention that you could think of just off the top of your head? I'm not going to name names, but are above the law? I'll continue. But that is for another day. For today, the enormity of Trump being finally, remember, this is CNN, finally held accountable by a jury of his peers. You can't even hide your bias in the final line. Finally is the word that you want to use. Okay, finally held accountable by a jury of his peers after so many allegations, resonates across the nation and around the world. Oh my gosh, it goes with the college protests. It goes with everything we've been talking about. Our adversaries are just laughing at us right now, at our weakness on the foreign stage and not supporting our ally, and now seeing our court system devolve into this under the presidency of Joe Biden. But as I've been mentioning all morning, and I do have enough time for it, I'm going to make enough time for it, darn it. Greg Jarrett says, in Trump trial, there was no real crime, but America just lost something that it can never get back. Donald Trump did not lose on Thursday. Our once venerated legal system did. And by extension, all Americans lost something precious, because the failure of justice is a failure of the people. The conviction of the former president in a Manhattan courtroom was preordained. Great point by Greg Jarrett. With the verdict, the ideals of a fair trial and an impartial jury faded into a figment of our founders' imaginations. They knew that the worst oppression is done by the color of law. They feared it, tried to prevent it, so they too have lost. Our founders have lost as well, which is such a great point. It was preordained. We all lost. No reversal on appeal can erase the ugly stain. Oh boy, that's a good point. It is indelible. Ethical integrity, equal justice, and the revered rule of law became the fateful casualty of this assault on liberty. There was no real crime to be found. Prosecutors simply invented one. An undefined conspiracy that was factually impossible and unsupported anywhere in the criminal codes. The trial itself, that stretched for 5 agonizing weeks, seemed a mere formality, a hollow exercise. And think of that. They won at the front end, keeping Trump off the campaign trail. But this is why I wanted to mention it. Maybe I should have saved it for the 7 o'clock hour. But I think it's such a powerful statement that even with the appeal, it cannot undo the damage. Yes, on paper it can, but it cannot undo the damage this has done to our justice system that we have all lost yesterday. The trial itself, as I mentioned, the bookkeeping entry magically morphed from an let me try that again. A bookkeeping entry magically morphed into an expired misdemeanor to an active felony in the way that a porcupine is transformed into a prince. At trial, the accused was never informed of his alleged felonious conduct. It was an erroneous violation of his Sixth Amendment rights. Jurors were then given a creative menu of 3 possibilities, and this goes to our point that the viewer had earlier. Jurors were then given a creative menu of 3 possibilities and informed that our cherished constitutional principle of unanimity, had gone the way of the dodo. We still don't know and may never know what conspiracy Trump supposedly committed. The tragic coda to the Trump trial is that Americans can no longer trust our system of justice. Faith has been squandered. District Attorney Alvin Bragg proved the English philosopher and jurist Jeremy Bentham correct. It is never the law itself that is in the wrong. It is always some wicked interpreter of the law that has corrupted and abused it. But Bragg did not act alone. His accomplice and co-prosecutor, Judge Juan Merkin, blithely disregarded the established rules of evidence, manipulated standards of admissibility to favor the prosecution, sanctioned prejudicial testimony bereft of value, and helped engineer a wrongful conviction by depriving Trump of a full and legitimate defense to which he was entitled. Merkin did all of this without conscience or regret. There was never any plausible evidence that Trump committed crimes. There was no legal basis for the indictment. Facts were contrived or exaggerated. Statutes were perverted or ignored. The law enforcers became lawbreakers. Bragg's scheme to exploit a pathological liar and convicted perjurer as his star witness was a devious maneuver by an unscrupulous prosecutor. On cue, Cohen lied to the jury just as he had lied to everyone else. It was no surprise coming from a man who told Congress, "I have lied, but I am not a liar." That is a twisted statement from an insufferable reprobate. The problem with liars is that for them, truth has no meaning. They're incapable of distinguishing fantasy from reality. They lie to themselves about their own lies. That did not stop Bragg and his Confederates from mining Cohen's skills as an expert in the relentless quest to convict Trump. Did they suborn perjury? Absolutely. They knew Cohen would lie. They wanted him to. He did not disappoint. Bragg never had authority to bring a case against Trump based on federal campaign finance violations, which appeared to be the centerpiece of this misbegotten case. That's why he concealed it to the bitter end. A competent or unbiased judge would never have allowed it. Merkin was neither competent or unbiased. The tragic coda to the Trump trial is that Americans can no longer trust our system of justice. Faith has been squandered. If it can be weaponized against a former president, it can happen to any of us. We are all at risk. When a district attorney who is a powerful force in government abuses his position of trust to subvert the legal process, and when a judge acts in concert to dismantle the due process rights of the accused, our system of justice is threatened. Reverence to the rule of law is lost. It was John Adams who said ours is a government of laws and not of men. Sadly, it is no more. What a powerful message from Greg Jarrett, and that's why I want to make sure I got to it before we ran out of time. We're almost out of time for the first hour. So let's play a little catch up on breaks. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's Hot Tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
If you or one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. A good point here by a viewer. You said no one is above the law. What about Ted Kennedy that killed his admin on Martha's Vineyard? Yes, Mary Jo Kopechne. But it wasn't Martha's Vineyard. It wasn't Martha's Vineyard. But it was Chappaquiddick. It's not Martha's Vineyard, is it? I don't live in those ritzy sections of the world. But yes, we could go through a laundry list of no one is above the law who actually is above the law. I know we talked about it in the past with Hillary Clinton and people like that. Ted Cruz said this is a dark day for America. Elise Stefanik saying today's verdict shows how corrupt, rigged, and un-American the weaponized justice system has become under Joe Biden and Democrats. Kevin McCarthy, I thought, had a really good statement saying President Trump's only crime is running against Joe Biden in 2024. And that's what this boils down to. It was clearly done in concert to keep Trump from running. They know, and listen, you could see it in the media's coverage of this. They knew without this extra bonus for themselves that Biden has no chance to win the presidency. That's why you keep seeing article after article about how Democrats are scared, the numbers aren't good. They depended on this. This was a bonus to add to their tools in the campaign. Without this, they would have had to, well, who knows what would have been next. But they have so many things that they needed to do. Like one viewer said earlier, you have to go through these steps because they have no chance running on Biden's record. Vivek Ramaswamy said the prosecutor is a politician who promised to nail Trump. The judge's daughter is a Democrat operative who literally raised money from the trial while her father presided over it. The jury instructions said they didn't have to agree on the crime to convict. This will backfire. Yes, that was a point that I think the media has chosen to ignore. That essentially Judge Merchant said, yeah, you don't really have to agree to have it be guilty. Just, choose your own adventure. Go this way, and at the end, it's all roads lead to guilty. One other comment I want to read, because I think it was Lee Zeldin who, and we could go back to other people's comments because there's been so many amazing statements made. But Lee Zeldin, who raised $800,000 for the president yesterday by a single donor, said this political prosecution designed to interfere with the 2024 election was a disgusting abuse and weaponization of the criminal justice system. This ruling is obviously going to be overturned on appeal, but for Democrats, this case was never about the merits. And I think I really like Greg Jarrett's position on that yes, it will be overturned by appeal. I think most people agree with that. But the damage has already been done to the belief in the justice system, into the legal system. Now, Trump his campaign has warned Democrats to buckle up, warning Democrats to buckle up after he's released from the freezing court to hit the campaign trail. Crooked Joe Biden and the Democrats confined President Trump to a courtroom for more than 8 hours a day for more than 6 weeks, and he's still winning. Now that he is fully back on the campaign trail, Biden and Democrats better buckle up. All right, we got to take one last break for this hour. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Was your premature baby fed a cow's milk baby formula such as Similac or Enfamil? If so, your child may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Evidence shows that cow's milk formulas increase the risk of NEC in premature babies, causing severe harm and even death. If your child was born premature and suffers from NEC, intestinal perforations, sepsis, cerebral palsy, or died as a result, you may have the right to sue for significant financial compensation. Call now for a free case review.
I'm Marianne Burt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights.
share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big Fox.
And we are back. Yes, I looked it up, but thank you for correcting me. I always knew Chappaquiddick. I did not know that was in Martha's Vineyard. It's on the eastern end of Martha's Vineyard. So thank you. I guess I never put two and two together where Chappaquiddick actually was. But yes, Mary Jo Kopechny. But in the other example, like someone commented here, wasn't it supposed to be 1 year jail time for every email that was deleted? Above the law. What a joke. And isn't that interesting? That's the term that it seems like everybody that's a little bit questionable keeps using. No one is above the law. Actually, there was who was it that made a mistake? Oh, this Republican former Maryland governor, Larry Hogan. He's running to become the state's next senator. He had tweeted out that regardless of the outcome, Americans should respect the legal process and the verdict. Now, maybe read the room on this one. In little more than an hour, Chris LaCivita, a former Trump advisor, said, "You just ended your campaign." Yeah, this is the time to choose your words carefully. Tulsi Gabbard proclaims Biden guilty of abuse of power. Now, Tulsi Gabbard's name, and I know we've talked about this, she's a registered independent now. She left the Democrat Party. She said, Biden guilty of abuse of power. Biden guilty of turning our country into a banana republic where those in power use the law to go after their political opponents. Guilty of undermining our Constitution and the freedoms guaranteed therein. I would just be curious, and I know I keep asking this, but if you are someone that is happy by this verdict today, I would love to get your reaction, your theory on this. Do you believe it was a fair case? I guess if you're a Democrat and you're celebrating it, would you have felt as comfortable if the shoe was on the other foot? Would you think this was all fair? If this was, looking into whatever, a story about Biden and the judge was a Republican and the jury was in a heavy Republican area and, et cetera, et cetera. Would you feel comfortable with that? I would also add, whether or not you feel comfortable with it, I think that's going to be a situation in the future. I think the precedent has been set that this is going to be used, and we have now become a system where we have now become a country, where our justice system has become weaponized, has become politicized, and that was the decision of at least Alvin Bragg, and many saying colluding or in concert with the Biden administration, who will stop, as who was it that said it? It proves the Democrats will stop at nothing to make sure that Trump does not win. We've got a couple of other examples, we got a whole nother hour. I don't think we're going to have a chance for too many other topics this morning. Just keep that in mind for whatever that's worth. I hope that you stay tuned and keep those comments coming in. We got a lot of waves still coming in. Everybody waking up. We've been talking Trump trial, 34 counts, guilty. Again, we're going to be talking about it for a full hour. I don't even think there's anything else I have in this stack of papers. That's already an hour down. We still got a lot to go. So buckle up, folks. I knew it was going to be this kind of day. Thank you for all the comments. I know I've asked a lot of questions this morning. Feel free to weigh in on any of them. How are you feeling this morning after the verdict yesterday? When you heard the verdict, were you shocked? Were you stunned? Were you expecting it? I think after reading your comments yesterday, most people got the predictions spot on. There was always that hope, and I heard Laura Ingraham say it yesterday too on Fox News, that she'd always hoped there'd be that one brave man or woman that would stand up to this. I think we all had hoped that to an extent, but of course that was not to be. I think, as Greg Jarrett said, this was preordained. I think we went through a 6-week show trial, 6 weeks keeping Trump off the campaign. I think they could have found that same, especially with the ways the rules were set up by the judge, where there's really no way to come to anything but a guilty verdict. I think we could have had that day one and just saved everybody the time and the trouble. But I guess they wanted to make it look less like a farce, but in the long run, did they? Did it? And again, many are saying that this is what puts Trump in the White House. Well, we're going to talk about all that and much more, so stay with us. Hour number 1 in the books. We got 1 hour left together, so please stay with us right here on Big Fox.
Looks like y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
You're never gonna believe it, but this can filter up to 60 different contaminants from your water.
It's all about cleaner drinking water.
Dude, that's good water.
And that's good water.
Now that's good water.
That's good water, eh?
No matter where you live, there's a Culligan water expert nearby. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Attention, this is an important message for firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was diagnosed with any of those cancers, call now for a free case review.
Sheldon and Missy face off in
Why can't we watch DuckTales? Because we don't learn anything.
Book Smarts versus Street Smarts.
Is it working? Are you feeling motivated? Very.
It's the battle of twins.
Life is so confusing. I always hoped it would be easier for me when I grew up. It's gonna be all right.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. And all morning long, we've been talking about Bruhat Soma, who was the champion of last night's Scripps National Spelling Bee. That was our first hour. No, that's, of course, a joke for those of you who didn't tune in for the 6 o'clock hour. You've missed so much. I don't even know where to begin. It's been all Trump trial, of course, found guilty on 34 charges. You don't need to hear me repeat that. I will say this, because I've only seen it one place this morning. If you're not aware, former President Trump has announced a press conference to be held today at 11 a.m. And I mention that because I'm sure that many of you will want to view that. I know myself included will want to view that. Keep the comments coming in. We've been receiving so many great opinions on yesterday's verdict. Were you surprised? Were you expecting it? What was your thoughts? So many people had great comments on this. One I wanted to mention, why not kick off the top of the 7 o'clock hour with this? RFK Jr., he blasted this verdict. He called Trump's guilty verdict profoundly undemocratic. The Democrat Party's strategy is to beat President Trump in the courtroom rather than the ballot box. This will backfire in November. Even worse, it's profoundly undemocratic. Yes, I think that's something I know. It will, I believe, it will backfire in November. But having said that, the damage is still done. The precedent has been set. And also not just that this will be used on other opponents in the future, but also what it does to the justice system. Like Greg Jarrett said, if they can do this to the nominee for president, the man leading in polls, they can do this to any of us. This has set it is, and eroding isn't even a strong enough word. It has eroded the belief in the justice system and the rule of law. But I'll continue with what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had to say. America deserves a president who can win at the ballot box without compromising our government's separation of powers or weaponizing the courts. You can't save democracy by destroying it first. That's another great line, too, because when you see this, you sometimes forget how many examples there are when they say Trump is a threat to democracy. And then you go, wait a minute, a threat to democracy. You try to keep him off the ballots. That's undemocratic. Let's see. You're ignoring the Supreme Court. You're destroying our institutions, the norms and institutions. You are weaponizing the judicial system. And we've got to worry about Trump being a threat to democracy at this point. So I thought that was a very good point from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The Democrats are afraid they will lose in the voting booth, so instead they go after President Trump in the courtroom. I am also running against President Trump in this election. The difference is I'm challenging him on his record, his lockdowns during COVID, his atrocious environmental record, his cozy relationship with corporate America, his support for the war machine, his failure to root out waste and corruption in Washington, his service to the billionaire class. We're talking about a Kennedy talking about waste and corruption in Washington and the billionaire class? Anyway, I'll challenge him on these things, but the Democrats won't. You know why? Because they pursue the very same policies. Well, let's face it, Biden can't run on his record. So what does he have? They have these type scenarios. Mitch McConnell said these charges never should have been brought in the first place. I expect the conviction to be overturned on appeal. Yes. I look forward to when it is overturned on appeal. Having said that, it is very frustrating to the with the damage that's already been done. Excuse me. It's frustrating that we have to wait for that appeal. Ted Cruz said yesterday that it was a grotesque abuse of the justice system. Number one, he said, I'm angry, I'm furious. And number two, I'm heartbroken. I'm angry because we're seeing a grotesque abuse of the justice system. It is a travesty of justice that has unfolded in New York. And I'm heartbroken because the rule of law matters in America. You and I have both spent our adult lives fighting to defend the rule of law, and we have a justice system that is supposed to ensure equal justice under law for everyone. Today, the New York justice system made itself a global laughingstock. This was a political decision that every banana republic in the world recognizes, and they know exactly what this is. This was partisan Democrats lashing out at their political opponent. And I got to say, I held out hope that a 12-person jury, there would be one who would hold out and say, I will not participate in this fraud. I will not participate in this political attack. And sadly, there was not even one. I think there really should have been cameras in the courtroom, in particular to see the abuse of power by this trial judge. This trial judge, I think, has diminished the credibility of every judge in America. Because look, when you go into a courtroom, and God forbid you go into a courtroom as a criminal defendant, or you go into the courtroom as a civil litigant, you expect the judge to be fair. You expect the judge to be impartial. You expect the judge to follow the law. This judge was a partisan. He should have worn a Biden campaign hat while he was at the bench. This ruling was absurd. I've got to say, those jury instructions, it was obviously had one objective, and it was to get Donald Trump. Now, that's not a judge's job. It doesn't ensure for reversible error, and I think this decision will be reversed on appeal. I think it's a certainty that it will be reversed on appeal, but I think on all likelihood that will happen after the election, and the entire purpose of this sham prosecution was the two words you read right before you had me on. You read Joe Biden's campaign statement, and in his words that surprised nobody on planet Earth, they refer to Donald Trump as a, quote, convicted felon. You and I are going to hear those words repeated by Democrats and the corporate media about 1 billion times between now and Election Day. That was the whole point, is to scream felon, felon, felon. This was politics and not law. And Ted Cruz has a great point. That's why I wanted to mention that to you. It's that new title, former president and convicted felon Donald Trump. We will hear that nonstop. It'll come up in the debate, if there is a debate. If you missed this in the 6 o'clock hour, I think this gives them an out on the debate. But they will be continuing to use that term nonstop. They're gloating over it. They love it. So yes, it will be appealed, to be overturned on appeal, but the damage will all be done. So what does that mean? That means this worked. This worked. So the precedent has been set. They got what they wanted. They got a guilty verdict. They've got the new title that they can give him, convicted felon. They believe it will ultimately hurt him come Election Day, though I think many of us disagree with that. So now expect this in the future. I know many Democrats think this is just because it's Donald Trump. Fareed Zakari saying that these charges would have never been brought up if it wasn't Donald Trump. So many are saying that, and many trying to ease our minds, saying this is a one and done thing. It just is Trump. We just hate Trump that much, as if that's an acceptable excuse. We just hate Trump so much that then we're done. Okay, well, they're going to hate the next guy. They're going to hate the next girl. They're going to hate the next whatever running as a Republican. That's a fact. Because as I said, when Nikki Haley was still in the race, if Nikki Haley gets it, they will try to destroy her too. Look at how they try to destroy Romney, milquetoast Romney. So they hate Republicans. It's always the next, look at the horrible, despicable things they said about George W. Bush. They always get more, once you're starting full of hate, it just gets worse. It just fuels the fire of hate. So if it's not Trump, it'll be whoever is the next person with that R next to their name. And now they know it's pretty as simple as creating a crime that's not a crime, getting a judge that's completely partisan, a partisan hack, and make sure that when he gives the instructions to the jury, that is the fix is in, that all roads lead to guilty. Now on CNN, weirdly enough, this is kind of interesting, but it's Scott Jennings, which he's the Republican at CNN. He said, well, if my phone and the text messages I'm receiving are any indication, every Republican in the country in this matter is madder than a wet hen. I mean, people who are decidedly non-MAGA, not Trump fans, are blowing up tonight saying this case never should have been brought. This is ridiculous charges. It was an erroneous use of the criminal justice system. And I mean, I'm hearing people say I had no intention of voting for Donald Trump, and now I am. And then if you ask to Trump campaign, what's happening? You know, they literally broke their online donation portal because people were rushing to the internet to save their money in the minutes after the verdict, to send their money, excuse me. So I think there's a real chance here. It's going to massively backfire on the Democrats and help Donald Trump. But you know what's interesting? And I wonder, and I asked you this question because we got a lot of comments coming in. I'm going to read them after break, and I appreciate that. It's been that way all morning long. But you know, if there's somebody out there that maybe doesn't pay attention to the news, hasn't been watching the trial, doesn't really know what's going on, they just know that a former president is up on charges, right? And they read the verdict, they say it's felon. They say, well, you know, the jury of their peers found him a felon. He's a felon. This is unbelievable. This is shocking. We have a guy running for president that's a felon. And they don't know how corrupt this trial was from the beginning. That was another goal. Knowing the kind of lack of attention span by the American people at times, that they could get this trial for 6 weeks, keep the former president off the campaign trail, and at the same time, people who aren't as politically astute, not paying as much attention, and saying, he got found guilty. I can't vote for a felon. I'll be curious if that plays a factor. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Rappaport. He's an actor. He said some very vile, despicable things about Republicans and about Donald Trump specifically. But he said after the verdict, I'm predicting that Trump will win the election 2024, and I just bet money on it. Yeah, I mean, again, this is, trust me, not a Trump fan. I think they don't realize the damage that they've really done, not only to the judicial system, to the system of law, but also to their campaign. Because many people, the ones paying attention, the voters are on the fence. And I'll ask you this, because I know I had a lot of people disagree with me on this. A lot of people thought that those who support Nikki Haley may not go for Trump. Now, I'm not talking about the Democrats that supported Nikki Haley. They were probably never going to go with Nikki Haley anyway, just to warn you. But some of the independents that were on the fence because they don't like Trump. Does this put them over the line? Does this finally, and if you're one of those Nikki people, let me know, where you finally say, okay, I didn't want to vote for Trump, but I really don't like the lawfare. I really don't like the weaponization of the judicial system. It'll be interesting when the poll numbers start to come out. But we've got to take our first short break of the second hour. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking. Just getting warmed up. I know it's going fast. Thank you to everybody who's been joining us. Keep those comments coming in, and we'll be right back.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tub experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Rated the hearing aids of 2023 by Forbes, the Audien Atom 2 series offers superior sound quality and functionality for a fraction of the price. For just $189 a pair, the Atom 2 features 4 different hearing modes for all types of hearing loss. It packs crystal clear sound, a nearly invisible design, and is even rechargeable.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids. They're so comfortable, I forget I'm wearing them. And the sound is amazing.
The Atom Pro 2 is our smallest hearing aid yet, featuring advanced background noise cancellation and is the world's first hearing aid with built-in UV cleaning that kills 99% of bacteria.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed without seeing a doctor or having a hearing test.
Join over 500,000 happy customers today and get the hearing you deserve.
Call 1-800-434-9816 or go to AudienHearing.com to get your pair of Audien hearing aids starting at just $189.
Is this the start of a dynasty?
Ryan Blaney is a NASCAR Cup Series champion.
A redemption tour?
Ready to go to work.
Is this the face of a ruthless competitor or a villain?
I'm being your favorite driver.
Is it time for a breakthrough? To get back to breaking stuff? Or is this the makings of the wildest ride you'll ever witness? It's all of the above, and it's about to go down. Any questions?
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
Yes, the roof camera is back. I listened to your demands. Welcome back to Frankie Speaking here on Big Fox. Thank you for joining us as we broadcast live from the SSC studio here. So many comments coming in, so many waves. Look at that. If we don't break the 25 record today, let's get to 34. What do you say? In honor of the president. Now, I shouldn't laugh because it is really, the destruction is something we can never get back to the system. Oh, man. Thank you for the heads up. I realize the theme song ran late, so I'm not sure how much of that you heard. Sometimes that gets a little wonky. But yes, the roof camera is back because I listened to your demands. But really, it was just we had someone fix it. The other thing, we look like we're going to probably break records with waves. The record stands at 25. I say we try our hardest to get it to 34 in honor of the former president. It isn't something that we can laugh at. It is something that has done so much damage. Legal experts saying really at the end of the day, the election decides the outcome. Jonathan Turley saying, I obviously disagree with the verdict, as do many others. I believe that the case will be reversed eventually, either in the state or federal system. However, this was the worst expectation for a trial in Manhattan. I'm saddened by the result, more for the New York legal system than the former president. I had hoped that the jurors might redeem the integrity of a system that has been used for political purposes. And what a great point he makes. And just another... death by a million paper cuts in New York. You know, we talk about how many things on this program that are causing people to leave the state. I know even Governor Hochul, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, at one point said this is a one-off. This is just about Trump. Business people, residents, don't worry, it's just about Trump. When they were reading those guilty verdicts, the one thing we didn't know, this is Jonathan Turley, is really that what he was found guilty of. If you remember, the judge allowed the jury to find guilt on any one of 3 secondary crimes. We weren't told whether the jury found any one of those crimes or whether they found all 3 of those crimes. I'm not sure we will know that. That's one of the many issues that I think present reversible problems in this case. Now, comments from viewers. Oh, keep those waves coming in. All I can say, this is from viewers. All I can say is this state has outdone itself. Abuse of power and corruption defines New York politics. Yep, exactly. You sound like Jonathan Turley. Jonathan Turley sounds like you, I should say. Thank you. Next comment. I can't say I'm surprised because New York City is a cesspool and the power rests with the evil, corrupt, godless pawns. But I'm stunned by the ignorance of the people that are doing the happy dance without still seeing the much bigger picture. And that is frightening to me. Yes, the gloating, the bragging, the, no pun intended with the bragging, the jumping for joy, because it all boils down to that, as Trump calls it, Trump derangement syndrome. That hatred for Trump is so strong that it doesn't matter the norms and the institutions that it destroys to bring him down. That's why it's laughable when we hear their campaign slogan of stop Trump because he's a threat to democracy. Continuing with other comments, though, we have set the standard that any minor infraction done to influence an election is a felony. Yes. If so, then Biden and much of his cabinet, some key members of Congress, and more than a few judges could be taken away in cuffs at Trump's inauguration. But of course, Trump is not a tyrant and won't do that. Next comment. All I can think of is a bully grabbing your hand and hitting you with it while saying stop hitting yourself. Unfortunately, we are the victim paying the bully. Excuse me. Yes, it's you're a threat to democracy. You're a threat to democracy. As we destroy the norms, as we continue, as we continue to actually attack democracy. Chuck Schumer said, you guessed it, no one is above the law. The verdict speaks for itself. Thanks, Chuck Schumer. They must have got their talking points. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, said, as we await the next step, New Yorkers should rest assured that the NYPD stands ready to respond to any and all circumstances, including large-scale protests. While peaceful protests and assembly will always be protected, we will not be a city of any form of lawlessness. New York, can I just read that one last part for you? Keep in mind, he's talking about New York City. New York City will not be a city of any form of lawlessness. That's news to a lot of people in New York City. But he also said today a jury of 12 New Yorkers registered their verdict. Our criminal justice process must be respected. It must now be respected. Not respected when they even came with this phony charges. These phony charges didn't need to be respected at that point. AOC gloated. He was found guilty on all 34 counts. The rule of law applies to everyone. Donald Trump was convicted by a jury of his peers. Boy, there's a lot of repeat messages there. Oh, thank you for all the waves. Robert De Niro said justice has been served. I know that's who I go to for my information, Robert De Niro, because he didn't look unhinged or wacky the other day at all. So I definitely want to hear his legal expertise. I'm always very weary. I don't want to get too excited about anything. It's as it should be. Justice has been served. That's it. Thank you, Robert De Niro. Representative Jamie Raskin called it a sweet vindication of the rule of law. I take great pride in what happened because I feel that it is such a sweet vindication of the rule of law and the complicated parts of it that frustrates people because it slows things down, like the presumption of innocence, like the fact you need to get a unanimous verdict among 12 citizens randomly, like the fact that the defendant does not have to testify and can elect not to testify, like due process and the right to appeal. Undoubtedly, Donald Trump, as a convicted felon, now will exercise his appeal rights. He has every right to do that. I think we can feel proud that the system of justice and rule of law within liberal democracy has survived. I also felt proud, actually, about being a politician because most politicians don't behave like Donald Trump. Of course, the very first thing he ran for was president, and that was an act of great hubris that paid off for him. Most of us try to go out and get things done for our constituents, and then we ask for votes. We don't do this as an exercise in celebrity and grammar. So Jamie Raskin's proud to be a politician, proud of the rule of law and the justice system as of yesterday. We've got more of these on the way. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Summer's here. And with a new Toyota, you can capture all the moments that make summer, summer. Like driving a RAV4 to wade in a waterfall.
Nice.
Cruising to play mini golf in a Camry. Or taking a Tundra to the beach.
You're not going to leave me here, are you?
Get a new Tundra or Tundra iForce Max with 1.99% APR for 48 months plus $1,000 TFS subvention APR cash. Or lease a new 2024 Tundra for just $499 a month.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
Attention care beneficiaries. This is an important message for people on Medicare. Today we are talking about Medicare Advantage plans. If you're new to Medicare, moving or losing coverage, and don't have a Medicare Advantage Part C plan, call now because there may be a Medicare Part C plan with additional benefits available in your zip code. You can call now to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan with additional benefits. Just call 800-351-6177 and a licensed insurance agent can look up your eligibility and plan options and see if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Part C plan that could save money or include additional benefits. Don't wait. You are not automatically enrolled in a Part C plan with additional benefits. If you're new to Medicare, moving or losing coverage, call for your free, no-obligation Medicare benefits review. You won't know what plan options are available to you unless you call, so call now. The call is free. Call 800-351-6177. 800-351-6177.
Getting real video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
Thank you so much for joining us. So many waves coming in, so many comments. I'm doing my best to keep up with all of them. To the one viewer's point, yes, I do believe there'll be Antifa or outside agitators that are going to probably capitalize on this. It looked like it was going to get hairy yesterday after the decision. I hope no violence. This kind of thing scares me, because if there is violence, of course, the media and the left use it as another excuse to attack the president and his supporters. So of course that concerns me, and I don't want to see violence at all anyway. I want to see this appealed. I want to see the win on November 5th. Michael Cohen, did you see how Michael Cohen had to, of course, weigh in on this. He said Judge Juan Merkin, who is an absolute gentleman, to see him on the stand is to see poetry. It's to see a masterful judge who was quick with decision making. He was absolutely judicial perfection. Yeah, you're still looking at the street cam? I am? Oh my gosh. Sorry. My goodness. Oh, that's all right. We went back to old school radio. That's what I was trying to do there. Just keep you on your toes. Thank you. I'm getting so distracted. We have so much to get to. Other comments. One of my former friends wasted no time posting her delight at the outcome on social media sites. So I'm not sure they truly understand what's happening to all of us. Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, you watched the birds jump off the bricks. Did you see that? Cool. Sorry about that, keeping the roof camera up. That's embarrassing. Hey, I've only been doing this a year and a half, folks. Bear with me. I'll get it one of these days. Yes, that's one of the reasons why I stayed off of social media last night. It wasn't worth it, because people don't understand the implications, I think. It's really just about getting their political opponent, and they don't understand at the end of the day what this means for all of us. So social media was not for me yesterday. Next up, would be interesting to know the background of all the jurors. I know there was quite a few lawyers, correct me if I'm wrong. I think there was a teacher, some other. I should have printed that out when it first came out. Should have been a change of venue to maybe Oklahoma. Good point. Definitely should have been a change of venue. I think we could all agree that. I mean, it's one of the things we said from the beginning, like it was, so many have said, preordained. Because once it was in New York City, they got those jurors. You could have had the decision come out day one. I really, truly believe that. The rest was just for show. Schumer, yes, we mentioned Chuck Schumer earlier, just talking about the judicial system working, or how no one's above the law. Schumer, who told us after Kavanaugh, "You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price." Yeah, that's a great reminder. Well, they found a system. They found a system that works, and this will not be the last time, because people will say right now, because they can never put anything into perspective, that right now there's the most hate they've ever experienced for one person, but they'll never experience that again until the next Republican comes around. So don't think for a moment that this is done and over with just because it's Trump. It'll be the next Republican as well. I'll read this. A little too long to just read live. Okay, a couple comments. Thanks for the waves, by the way. Yes, we have broken the wave record. We are now at 28 Hollywood celebrities, the same ones that are having a little trouble maybe endorsing Biden because he's too pro-Israel. They don't want to get on the side of the pro-Hamas protesters. They don't want to get they want to get the money of those pro-Hamas protesters. Many of them, as we know, elites, lots of money. So they're not sure about their endorsement yet. But one thing they're sure of is they can rejoice over the Trump verdict. Tears of joy, said Kathy Griffin. I guess you can't. Can you call her a celebrity? Ellen Barkin tweeting out, God bless New York City. These are the same people that Biden thinks can get, I guess, the swing state vote, can get the common man and woman out there saying, oh, wow, Ellen Barkin said that? She likes Biden? I'm switching parties. Barbara Streisand, I got to be careful because one thing that they do, celebrities, they like to cuss. So I got to be careful, but I don't think Barbara Streisand does. Convicted felon Donald Trump is blaming the judge, the jury in New York for being found guilty on 34 counts. He will never accept accountabilities for his crimes. Americans must not allow this felon anywhere near the White House again. There you go. There is a very telling statement by Barbara Streisand, by Biden, by so many others. Their joy is coming from the fact that they can now call him a convicted felon. They don't care what the crime was. I would love to know what Barbara Streisand thinks that the crime was. He will never accept accountability for his crimes. What are the crimes, Miss Streisand? That's what I would ask. But the fact, convicted felon Donald Trump is how she starts her tweet. Ends her tweet. Bookends it. Americans must not allow this felon anywhere near the house. So they got their win. Look at that. Breaking in. 31. We got 2 more. Thank you for that. Now let's go through what some of the talking heads had to say. Stephen Collinson said, Trump conviction heralds a somber and volatile moment in American history. In one sense, Trump's conviction on all counts in his first criminal trial affirmed the principle on which the United States is founded, that everyone is equal and that no one, not even a billionaire and former and possibly future president, enjoys impunity. But Trump's authoritarian outburst minutes after the guilty verdict in New York and a race by top Republicans to join his assault on the justice system underscores how threatened those bedrock values are. So the fact that he's upset that he was found guilty, not the fact that this was a sham trial, the fact that he was found guilty, that's the threat to democracy, that he was upset over that. And the Republicans defended him. Boy, they're good sometimes, folks. The media is good. And they're saying all this knowing full well that there's a very good chance that this will be overturned on appeal. But they do the damage now. That's what they care about. Do the damage now. Worry about because they know they're not going to be called out. Stephen Collinson's not going to be called out for this 6 months from now. But the fact that he spoke out on this, this is what Trump wrote. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. Where's the rest of it? Okay, and then this is what Stephen Collinson says. A familiar hallmark of a dictatorial leader. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. So the fact that he's upset with a guilty verdict for a crime that we're still not really told what it really is, and jury that was instructed to essentially find a guilty no matter what. The fact that he was upset over that is a familiar hallmark of a dictatorial leader. Well, this is from the unbiased, completely fair CNN News. I'm not going to read anything more from that. We'll continue with some other comments like that. Trump is now a felon. That's literally the headline from Philip Elliott. Trump is now a felon. What voters do with that information will write this era's history. Wow, history making. If it actually helped or hurt his quest to claim it again, so this is the question. Given how Trump had dodged any real consequences for far worse, predictions of Trump's downfall may rely on a very misguided understanding of the id of the American electorate. This may be the day that Trump comeback became inevitable, or maybe nothing of that sort happens, and the coming week surprises us in wholly unexpected ways. These are the moments when histories are at their richest and most pliable. Okay, there we go. Another like. Another wave. I keep saying like this morning. I'm just looking at the time. GOP, and here's another example. We've been talking about this a lot on the program, that it's always a GOP. GOP rushes to defend Trump as Biden fundraises off guilty verdict in a hush money case. There's only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office, at the ballot box, Biden wrote on social media, linking to his fundraising page. Now we know, of course, if you're just joining us, I'm sure you knew this anyway, but the fundraising website for Trump crashing last night. because there was so much activity. I did want to, and I know some of you have already heard this, but I did want to read one last time because I read it in the 6 o'clock hour. And so for those of you joining us here in the 7 o'clock hour, our Congressman Nick Langworthy released a statement on the verdict saying, "Today marks an unprecedented corruption of our justice system and a very dark day for America. We have witnessed a blatant action to imprison a presidential nominee and steal the election out of the hands of the voters. A corrupt prosecutor, a corrupt judge, and a corrupt jury conspired to undermine our democracy in a manner more fitting of a banana republic than the United States of America. George Soros bankrolled Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, acting as a useful idiot for Biden, has manipulated the legal system to serve the interests of the radical left. It is an erroneous abuse of power aimed solely at keeping President Trump out of the White House. Every American should be deeply concerned, and have serious doubts about the integrity of our judicial system after what we have seen today. This miscarriage of justice is not just an attack on President Trump, but also on our democracy and the very principles that our nation was founded upon. I stand fully behind President Trump and reject this sham trial, just like the appellate division will. The real verdict will come on November 5th when the people vote to send Trump back to the White House." So that is, all right, that is Congressman Nick Langworthy. Let's take a short break. We will be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, keep those comments and those waves coming in.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Just look at the difference. Look, ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99. But wait, Angel View may be discontinued. Due to rising costs, Angel View is stopping manufacturing effective immediately. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. Order now.
Call 1-800-897-0371 or visit getangelview.com. Order now.
Every day, your game is on Fox. I mean, just feast your eyes on this. Because if baseball is as American as apple pie, then Fox Saturday Baseball was one heck of a slice. And with these guys on the menu, all you gotta do is sit back, relax, and make some room for a big old helping. With a cherry on top.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, I'm your host, Frank Acom, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Thank you so much for all the comments. Look at that, 34. I would say stop sending in waves, but I would never encourage you to do that. But that seems like an appropriate number on today's program. But I will still be counting waves, so don't worry. The New York Post editorial board said Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg and Judge Juan Merchant got their way on Thursday, maneuvering a jury of former President Donald Trump's peers into finding him guilty of something. We'll have to wait to find out exactly what, since McCann had told the jurors they didn't even have to agree on what exactly Trump did wrong. They could individually choose any of the vague theories the prosecution presented as to what other crime was committed to turn the supposed misdemeanors into felonies. Are you following all this? The violations of basic fairness in this trial were legion. McCann wouldn't let the defense call an expert witness to testify that no federal campaign finance law was violated. He routinely, think of that right there alone. He routinely shut down the defense while letting the prosecution get away with gross violations, including telling multiple outright lies in his closing statements. And I know when this gets appealed, it's going to feel good, but the damage is done. This is the problem. He won't be disbarred, though he should be. Not to mention indulging graphic and utterly irrelevant testimony from Stormy Daniels. In this context, you can see why jurors didn't realize that the only testimony indicating criminal intent on Trump's part, something utterly necessary for a guilty verdict, came from Michael Cohen, a confessed serial liar who admitted to a personal vendetta against the defendant. Nor see that Bragg's team didn't even show that Trump had actually falsified any business records. All that should get the verdict tossed on appeal. But for now, President Biden's campaign can and will call Trump a convicted felon every minute through Election Day. It is all we will hear from here on out. So they get their win already. That is, Bragg and McCann have completely prostituted the justice system for a purely political purpose. Bragg ran for office vowing to get Trump. He coordinated with the Biden Justice Department in reviving a case that his immediate predecessor had refused to bring, one centering on charges that the feds had refused to pursue, and tried it in the courtroom of a judge whose daughter is a Democratic operative. A judge who, again, repeatedly proved himself in the tank for the prosecution. Whether the verdict will actually harm Trump's chances in November is another grand unknown. Some polling even suggests that the guilty verdict will help him among likely voters because it's proof that Democrats were weaponizing the justice system against him, which they certainly have. And so given reasons, even to vote furious at Trump over January 6th, to choose him over Biden, because this lawfare campaign, along with the perversion of justice to protect Hunter Biden and So Joe, is an obscene assault on the pillars of our democracy. Yes, a threat to democracy is Trump, as they put here, an obscene assault on the pillars of our democracy. As is, by the way, the left's years-long attack on the legitimacy of the entire U.S. Supreme Court, simply because some rulings don't go the progressives' way. The rule of law, including impartial courts and ethical prosecutors, is fundamental to the survival of the republic and of trust in democracy. Yet most of the modern Democratic Party that Biden happily leads, or arguably is led by, cares only about power. All Biden's other disasters aside, that by itself is ample reason for the court of public opinion to vote him out come Election Day. That was from the New York Post and their editorial board. And many people are suggesting, and I know we've talked about it in the past, that this helps in the end Donald Trump. It gets a lot of people railing around him who may be doing so reluctantly. Rich Lowry said that rigged is a favorite word of Donald Trump and his allies. It describes how institutions and processes have been distorted by a progressive elite to tilt the playing field against Trump and his supporters. For the former president, it's all-purpose charge lodged against anything he dislikes and is especially useful as applied to the 2020 election. Now, keep in mind, Rich Lowry is not what you'd call a huge fan of Trump. But when he used the word to describe Alvin Bragg's case, he was absolutely right. The charges were rigged. The prosecution's presentation of the case was rigged. The judge's management of the case was rigged. The gag order was rigged. And the instructions to the jury were rigged. Now, keep in mind, Rich Lowry doesn't like Trump all that much. The whole thing was rigged from the beginning to end in the hopes of, to the extent this case and the guilty verdict will matter in November, rigging the presidential election, all ironically in the name of a trial that was supposed to be about fixing the election. If this had happened in an alderman race in Cook County, Illinois, it'd be discomforting enough. But it happened in what purports to be the greatest city in the world and involves a campaign to become the most powerful political leader in the free world. The high stakes would, one hopes, compel the authorities to have the most exacting standards for their own conduct and put a premium on maintaining the perception and reality of fairness. The logic of rigging runs the opposite way, though, because it is considered so imperative to stop Donald Trump. Any means of opposing him becomes acceptable, indeed necessary. And that's what this boils down to. Nothing is off limits. Everything is fair game in their ultimate goal of getting Trump, keeping him off the ballot, destroying him. So who cares what it does to the pillars of our democracy? Who cares what it does for the future of our justice system and the people's belief in the justice system? None of that matters, because it's very much like the college protesters we talk about, and the narcissism and the me attitude. It's all about, I hate Trump more than anybody's ever hated anybody in the history of the world, and he's the worst human being in the history of the world. So it's okay what we do over here. Never mind what this does for our country. Never mind what our adversaries are seeing right now in this country. They already see this weakness by this administration. Now they see what has been called over and over again a banana republic, a kangaroo court. So anyway, Rich Lowry wraps up because we do have to take another break. We're going to be reading your comments here in just a moment. Their recklessness has further undermined faith in the system. While the alluring idea that there's a shortcut to diminishing or defeating Trump has so far proved what their goal was, Alvin Bragg, that was worth it. It was kind of that gold at the end of the rainbow. So that was all okay. That's all that matters. It doesn't mind what it does for the future of the country. Alvin Bragg and Judge McCann have set a new standard for rigging, and nothing good will come of it. Nope, it's the precedent. We've got to take another short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
I'm Marion Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
If you suffer from foot pain, ankle pain, knee pain, hip pain, even lower back pain, if just standing causes aches, soreness, and fatigue, the problem could be your feet. When your feet are out of alignment, your entire body is out of alignment and you're in pain. Now you can change all of that. Today, introducing Superthotics, the doctor-designed breakthrough that solves the problem in your feet and relieves the pain throughout your entire body. It begins with the cushioned BioLock heel cup that holds your heel and ankle in perfect alignment. Next, metatarsal and longitudinal arch supports distribute the pressure of your body weight evenly across the entire foot.
Plus, these customizable inserts, which correct the angle at which your foot hits the ground, relieving your pain with every step you take.
Imagine being able to dance, walk, work, play golf, or just spend an afternoon shopping without the aches, pains, stiffness, and poor balance that rob you of your active life.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I cannot thank you enough, first of all, of how many likes we've gotten this morning, but also many great comments. We have a few more before we take our last break and wrap things up on this morning's edition. First off, we got 4 or 5 here. Why is it that we as Americans are angst at how Vladimir Putin deals with those who disagree with him, the way his opponents disappear or mysteriously die from poisoning, and yet there are individuals who applaud the verdict in a kangaroo court trial? I'm just glad we don't have camps in Siberia, or are there camps in northern Alaska we don't know about? Yet the people applauding this, you want to say they don't realize the implications? I think they probably do at the end of the day realize the implications of this, and they just really don't care because it's all about getting Trump. Next comment from a viewer. That judge's daughter is making millions off this travesty. I wonder the percentage she gives to her big guy. That's a great point. Of course, big guy in reference to the money allegedly that Joe Biden was receiving in those kickback schemes. Next up, from a different viewer. They have guaranteed their defeat in 2024 and again showed the world their filth and crimes. Trump 2024. Thank you very much. And final comment from a viewer. I seriously need to step up my efforts in preparation to leave this state. I've called home for years. The state I've called home for years. The price tag for injustice will be more than I can bear, and not just the wallet. it's just a larger picture. And I know we talk about it so often with New York State, but it's just a larger picture of what we're dealing with. And again, so many have said this would not have been a case if it weren't. Even Fareed Zakaria from CNN saying this would not be a case if the name wasn't Donald J. Trump. And now that they have been, now that they've been successful and they can call Trump a convicted felon now until November, because most likely the appeals court, there will not be a ruling before then because that's a very slow process. So yes, they got their win. And what do? When you find a way to win, do you give up that game plan, or do you stick with it in the future? You know what the answer is. This is the precedent that has been set for future elections. It is troubling. It is a black eye on our judicial system, our law, our rules of law and order. But why should we expect any less disrespect for the rules of law and order when you see what happens on college campuses where that's really supported? Why should there be any repercussions in the long run? And that's why it's so ironic to see so many people saying, like Chuck Schumer and others, that no one is above the law. When we come back from our last break, I've got a piece here by Jason Chavez. Read your last minute comments, so get those in. And maybe, just because it is tradition on Friday, we'll go through a couple of quick things unrelated to the trial. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-781-9990 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-781-9990. 1-800-781-9990. Call now.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox. What a show, huh? My goodness, some great comments. Thank you for everybody who said such kind words. What a great show. You know, I'm not going to do all that, but I did receive quite a few, and I do appreciate that. It means the world to me. When the corrupt Democrats try and remove our choice, it's proof of what Trump has told us for years. You're exactly spot on with that. This is what's so... It's why so many people have their eyes open to the weaponization of the judicial system, because Trump has been calling it for years, saying that I'm the only one stopping them from coming towards you, for you, I should say. And that's something he said frequently. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. Something he's been saying frequently. Doesn't it just prove it time and time again? Jason Chavez said, smiling prosecutors and giddy media got what they wanted this week. But as predicted, the verdict is not just lighting a fire, but spreading one, not just within the base. Among independents and moderates whose faith in American justice has now evaporated. The Trump campaign website reportedly crashed from the donations. We talked about that. For those closely following the trial, the injustices inflicted by the prosecutors and the judge were so transparent, it was easy to believe there must be at least one juror who could see through it. But with Judge Merkin's prosecution-friendly jury instructions, the 12 jurors could basically find Trump guilty based on vibes. Mercan told them they could make decisions without proof. He advised the jurors that one could infer it had been raining by seeing a wet umbrella, even if they didn't actually see the rain themselves. In other words, if you think Trump seems like a criminal, you don't have to have proof. And they didn't. The problem for Democrats is that the jury instructions and a host of other due process challenges with the trial are easy for the public to see and understand. It was a blatant effort to steer the outcome in favor of the Democrat prosecutors. Just as their efforts to snooker the public on the state of the economy are failing, their efforts to gaslight them on the merits of this verdict will fail. Even for people who don't have a strong affinity for Trump, there remains a strong penchant for a fair justice system. The Democrats may be giddy now after years of trying to find something, anything to pin Donald Trump on. Yet the desperation to get Trump will be the Democrats' ultimate downfall. It is plain to see what the Democrats were willing to sacrifice in order to win this election, leaving voters to rightly wonder, is there anything that they wouldn't do to win? In the face of this verdict, Democrats can expect voters to be more open to what were previously considered conspiracy theories. Democrats have not only undermined the faith in the justice system, but in their own narratives. It's no longer just MAGA they must contend with. They may have just awakened and motivated America's sleeping giants. Yes, it will impact. I'm sorry, I just saw this comment. We'll come back to this because we're almost out of time. I mentioned this in the 6 o'clock hour. If sentencing is July 11th, do you know how that will impact the convention, or am I jumping the gun? I don't know how it will affect the convention, but it is 4 days. The the sentencing is 4 days before the convention starts. Very convenient, right? I know we were all saying, why July 11th? Why did it take so long? Well, perfect timing, right before the convention. How will it affect it? I guess it depends on what the sentencing is. Will he receive the nomination from Zoom inside his home in Mar-a-Lago because he's got home confinement? Will it be from his phone call from prison? I don't know. Will he be able to attend? But it definitely affects it in some way because it's 4 days before the convention. Back to what Jason Chaffetz said. Americans had better pay attention because the re-election of Donald Trump is now more than ever an existential threat to the Democratic Party. There's no telling how low they might stoop to prevent what is coming. Exactly. And what they will stoop to if and when he receives, well, the nomination he'll get, but if he becomes president of the United States, what will be next? What will the next 4 years look like? And will they be fine with handing over the reins of power? The Democrats may be giddy now after years of trying to find something, yet the desperation to get Trump will be their ultimate downfall, says Chaffetz. Truly, independent voters, one who were legitimately undecided, were given the strongest evidence yet. The Democrats want power more than justice. Yeah, as they are lecturing you about Trump destroying the norms, destroying democracy, they do things like this. They will destroy anything to keep Trump from becoming president. So it is very hard to listen to someone say he's going to be a threat to democracy when you have this trial, when you have the ignoring of the Supreme Court and trying to delegitimize the Supreme Court. Because remember, the 4 years, he's destroying all our norms and institutions. Well, tell us what they're not trying to destroy. Tell me how many people have lost complete faith in the justice system after yesterday. Biden leads Trump by single digits in New York, according to a new poll. Independents have flipped for the ex-president. New Yorkers favor Biden over Trump by just a 7-point margin. You're saying, well, Frank, he's still down. Do you know what that means? I mean, 7 points in New York? Well, I think you know a lot more about New York. I know you did anyway. But more about New York after yesterday's decision. Let's go through some things quickly. GOP's New York City working class gains brought thousands to the Trump rally and heralds the party's future, says Ryan Gerdesky. They believe it's a trend, and there is a chance for New York. The 2024 election won't deliver the Bronx to the Republicans, but it could offer a vision for the future. This coming from Politico, Biden's black voter troubles are setting off alarm bells. But we have stories like this day in and day out, don't we? But time is running low in order to earn those votes. And there are lots of votes to earn. What will he do? Is he going to try to run on his record of the last 4 years? No, he's going to run on felony or convicted felon Donald Trump. Is that going to be enough to win the election? Whoa, that truck just got my attention. RFK Jr. files complaint over the CNN debate rules, saying that they're going to exclude him. And listen to this. This is frustrating. Again, I don't think the debate's going to happen, but if it does, CNN will put commercial breaks in the Biden-Trump presidential debate. Breaking tradition. Well, that won't be tedious. How would they even get those in there? Well, maybe that can be one of their excuses to get them to stop talking. I know they're going to cut off the mics. How long does that last? Boy, if that wasn't going to be an awkward enough debate to watch with Biden sitting and those type of things, now we have commercial breaks. Kate Monroe has a piece saying Biden picked illegal immigrants over veterans. We must fix it before it's too late. And that's it. I can't keep talking. Thank you again to everybody. Record-breaking likes, or waves, I mean. Record-breaking amount of comments. I cannot thank you enough for spending your morning with us here on Frankly Speaking. And I ask that you'll join us Monday morning. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more to talk about. So join us Monday morning, starting at 6 a.m. Have a great weekend, everyone. And we will see you bright and early Monday morning with Frankly Speaking. I look forward to it already. Stay safe.
New vehicles are in-house and on display with more on the way. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, visit Elm Chevrolet. Search Elm Chevrolet's entire new vehicle inventory at elmchevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
I'm Marion Burt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I